Nelson, oi, come here. Stop. That didn't work.
Oh my God, he's charging. Mondays, chicken chop Mondays.
Really?
That's a new thing because Brett sees Yoshi on Monday. So don't really have much time to like get dinner after the run. So we just go here. Yeah. We should have used Nelson's name.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what you got?
CC Deluxe Burger combo, chips and a drink, any can or a water. There you go.
Jude, we're sitting here middle of October. It's been a big year.
Yeah, no, it's been my biggest year ever. So exciting to have a bit of time off. I haven't had time off before, so enjoying that. But after a pretty long season, yeah.
Let's talk about like how long the season has been, because I think for fans of the sport, they don't realise that, yes, the Australian season finishes in April, which, especially in a World Champs year, you've got to be up for the Australian domestic season, but then it pretty much doesn't stop. You head overseas, you're overseas until after World Champs, and you've only really just come home in the last couple of weeks. So step us through just how long the season's been.
Yeah, after the Australian Champs in April, I think I pretty much raced every 2 weeks until almost to World Champs, on average, I guess. Yeah, it's been a long year, and I've had a few good ones in there, which is important. But yeah, it is. A lot of people do sort of like, you have to kind of compartmentalize the season a little bit. Have a couple peaks, and one of them is our nationals. But that being so early, it can make those races later in the year a bit trickier because you've had less time to train because you weren't on a training camp when all the Europeans were. You were racing your nationals. So yeah, it is a bit different being from Australia and racing in Europe, I guess. Yeah.
And nationals is so important this year.
Yeah.
There's always a lot of commentary about it, right? Because yeah, it is kind of off season, and just because you're good in April doesn't mean you're going to be good in mid-September, right? Like, it's really hard to have those dual peaks. Is there any other way to do it though?
Like any other way, they could have a trial. There are other ways, but yeah, I don't know what's the best way, because we do definitely sit at a disadvantage compared to Americans and the Europeans, because they get their trial about a month out from the championship, so they get good practice for championship racing, and our practice is in April, and you also don't get, one person might get selected, but the other guys don't know yet. So you're basically racing for a time all year, and then you get to the championship and it's not about racing for time anymore. So it's tricky. Yeah.
I want to talk about World Champs, but before we talk about the meet itself, I want to talk a little bit about the selection. I don't know if you were aware of it, but there was certainly a lot of commentary, a lot of online commentary about the selection process for the men's 15, and I think you were probably dragged into that, right? Obviously, yep. and Ollie and everything else. Were you across that as it was unfolding?
Yeah, like I wasn't reading anything, but you obviously know what you know what's going on. There's three really good guys fighting for two spots, and honestly, I think the team would have been, any of the three into two would have been a good side to put forward. But yeah, it was just like a matter of playing it by ear, trying to get into the best races. I was lucky enough to run the time in Strava, and yeah, in the selection criteria or whatever criteria it is, it's just like you got to hit the time, and then it's about being in championship race fitness or whatever it is. Yeah, it's a very grey, convoluted criteria, I guess, and it's, I guess, set up for discretion. That's the selection policy, is discretion. So they don't really give you any black and white. It's all like numbers, like random numbers, really. But yeah, I was across it a little bit, but wasn't reading anything. I was just trying to go out and perform at my best.
Do you think that uncertainty, and then having to pretty much race every 2 weeks because you don't have that certainty, does that affect how you perform at a World Champs?
I think, yes. Yeah, the answer is yes, but there's definitely contradictions in my training that might have hurt my World Champs prep just because we were trying to get there. Like the things I was doing to get to world champs might have actually hurt my chances at world champs. Like because we were racing a lot, training like levels were a bit lower because I was racing every 10 days essentially for months. Had I been like the simple solution to that is get selected at nationals, then you can plan your season out. And also since like a combination of that and rapid improvement, I was getting more opportunities. So it was like we actually had a plan for the season, but I ran really well in like Rabat, and then I got into these other races, and then I ran well there, and I got into these other races. So, and I'd pull out of races because I got into like better ones. So, like there wasn't a lot of structure for a season that required structure. Like it's a world champs year, you need to be zeroed in on a plan. But we sort of just had to play it by ear a lot. It might have come around to hurt me a little bit, but like, yeah, we spent a lot of our efforts just trying to get there.
It has definitely been a breakout year. I think back to, I might have first became aware of you maybe when you broke Grego's under 20 1500. How long ago was this?
No, it was this 3K.
It's 3K.
Yeah, 2021, I think.
Yeah, and then you've had you've just had an up and down couple of years, injuries, and probably turning into a senior athlete.
Yep.
Which is a really hard bridge for a lot of young athletes to cross. You must feel good now that it's like, great, I've got to, I'm back on track. I've had a really good breakout year. It must be exciting for what's to come.
Yeah, I had a couple years of struggle. I'd say, yeah, transitioning was a big thing, and with that came the injuries. And I always was thinking in my mind, I was doing everything I can to be the best. And then you figure something out and you're like, man, I wasn't even trying. And it kind of was like that circle going on again and again until eventually I was doing everything. And then I'll probably figure it out again that I'm not doing everything. So, yeah.
The move to Melbourne, obviously part of MTC and being able to be around other athletes, especially athletes who have been doing it for a bit longer, a bit older. You probably would have learned a fair bit from just being around more experienced athletes?
Yeah, I feel like I could have got the training done. Well, I was getting the training done well in Queensland, but the ceiling is lower. I feel like down here it's higher. You can perform at a good level up there, but you're kind of limited a little bit with the weather, and like we were getting up pretty early to beat the weather. So like even just you're changing the way you're eating before sessions, and you're just more tired in general. But here it's like you're on a full like program. You're locked into a full thing. And I found that's the main reason I reckon I've gone to another level, is I've been able to like live the athlete lifestyle properly instead of like trying to live it in Ipswich and then driving to Brisbane and trying to train, and just like, yeah, I'm close to everything now.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're coached by Collis?
Yep. Yeah.
How's that? It's
great. Yeah. We get along really well. His coaching style perfectly fits what I need out of a coach.
Explain that.
Well, from one lens, it's probably low maintenance, but from the other lens, it's high maintenance. Like for him, he has to do a lot. Like he plans everything for me, but then in a way it's like, which is high maintenance, but in a way it's low maintenance because I'll just do it. So he doesn't have to worry about, like I just tick all the boxes that he sets up. So, yeah, he just is a hands-on coach with like all that sort of stuff. So, and that's what I like. I don't really like there being mystery about what the direction is. I just know what I'm doing, and yeah.
And are your conversations with Collis usually around what's happening for the next few days, next week, or how often are you having like bigger picture, longer term conversations about the next few months, the season, your career, all that sort of stuff?
I'm usually pretty aware of what I'm doing in the next few months, race-wise. And I wouldn't say I'm like the most experienced athlete, but when you know you've got a few races coming up, you know the sort of training you're going to be doing. And also time of year sort of stuff, we're going to be going to Falls Creek. That's not a mystery. So, yeah, I'd say like there's things I'd like to know about, but then there's things that I know I don't need to know about, like the exact date we're going to Falls Creek. I just know we're going to go up there in like December. So those sort of things don't bother me. But yeah, we're pretty, like it's pretty open book. Like I know I can just ask. Yeah, everything's above board really, yeah.
Let's talk about let's talk more about your move to Melbourne. Sitting here in the Robinson Thomas household.
The bachelor pad.
Is this your first time out of home?
Yep, moved out of home, yeah. First time out of home, yeah.
How's it been?
It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's bad for the little things that like my parents did for me, like mum would have done most of my washing. But that's not the bad part. It's like when you get sick and like you don't want to go to the pharmacy or the doctors and Brett's asking you to go because he doesn't want to get sick, and then we're sitting here both sick. Also like just little things like that, kind of a little bit worse, but then you get the luxury of being an independent person, which is nice. Yeah, that's probably my favorite part.
Has it been hard to juggle that, like the move out of home, becoming an adult, being independent, while also trying to juggle furthering your running career and getting on top of niggles and all those sorts of things?
I feel like, no, it's not that tricky because my whole environment down here is running related. So everyone I speak to on the day-to-day are pretty much doing the same thing. So it's not tricky at all. Kind of just came down and it just clicked.
Best parts about living in Melbourne versus living in Ipswich?
Just you're close to everything. Everything's like a couple minutes away. Nice being next to the shops. Nice running, not hot. We got a nice view, got a dog. There's so much good about this area.
You skipped Melbourne winter?
Yeah, I won't be having a winter for a while, I bet. Well, I hope not. I haven't had a winter in like 3 years. So I go Europe and then here, summer, which is nice.
So we're in the off season. What's the kind of end of season conversation like with Collis? Is there much sort of reflection on what a great year? Is there much time to stop and appreciate everything you've done? Are you talking about hopes and goals and dreams for next year, or will that come later?
I had a meeting 2 days ago with Collis about all that. We spoke about the things we did right and the things we did wrong through the year. And there was also one question where if you had no limits, what would be something you'd like to try? And also we spoke about the goals going into next year, which are kind of like, they're ambitious. We've set pretty ambitious goals. But some of the things we did right, from a management perspective, we nailed it. Like I was able to get into some pretty good races off really like no backing. Like last year I was 5 seconds slower or something. So it's hard getting into the top races when you've only been running well for a short period of time, but we're able to get those good ones. I think from a training perspective, we nailed the off season. Had at least 2 or 3 months up at Falls Creek, like weeks and weeks and weeks of really good gym, really good training, like PB sessions every week, every Tuesday. So that sort of stuff was just like, it was like a building thing. Like I knew I was going to be good this coming into this year because I just was training at a really good level. Some of the things we did wrong, like I definitely struggled a little bit while we're in Europe. I had like a hamstring niggle for like a good like month or month and a half in the season, but it was something that sort of just came around after races, and it was definitely affecting my gym and some speed work. So, and since there was like no time to stop and get it properly sorted out, like it was just like, you just got to keep racing. So it was something I was compensating for by dropping some training, dropping some gym, and ideally you wouldn't do that. So that's something we probably didn't get quite right. Goals for next year. On paper, we wrote break 3:30 for the 1500, Com Games final, Diamond League final, and then PB in the 5K. So that's the goals for next year. But there were some other ones, but we'll just say those ones for now.
I want to ask you about the state of the men's 1500. What do you make of it? Because we've seen the last few years have been about kind of front running and being aggressive, and I think that's still probably the case, but I feel like maybe we're starting to not get completely away from that, but get away from that a little bit. You're in it. How do you see it at the moment?
It's very competitive, and it's also, we got a young side as well. So it's probably going to be familiar faces coming into like the next few teams, but there's always like new people coming in. So yeah, it is a bit weird. Like I feel like everyone, like all 4 of the top guys can run the quick races. And but unfortunately it's just not about that. So it's like about getting selected. It's about getting through the heats, which obviously no one did. So I think there's a lot of development to be had with the team. And yeah, I feel like we each sort of have our own path of trying to figure that out. Collis and I spoke, maybe doing some 800s is the answer, maybe doing some time trial sort of stuff in training, maybe doing a 1500 and sitting right at the back and trying to do a really good last lap, something like that, to prepare for those like 3:45 races where you're racing against 3:30 guys. Because there's really no way to prepare for that in training, or it's very difficult to prepare or simulate that. So yeah, I guess all of the boys have a big task on doing that, but yeah, it's a competitive event right now, and I'm sure it's probably not going to change. Like, yeah.
What do you make of, obviously you've been in some big races this year, none bigger than being at a World Champs. How have you sort of absorbed that exposure to more pressure, bigger crowds, bigger names that you're standing alongside at the start line? That has to be only a benefit as you head into next season.
I never felt like there was a pressure thing with like lining up against good guys, because like you wouldn't see it, obviously, like you just tune in for the race, but you're at the same hotel with them, having breakfast with them like the day of the race or the day before, dinner the night before. Like they got, sometimes they can have like a hard exterior, like this, big name, but then you're just like having bacon and eggs with them. Like it's fine. I've made some good friends on the circuit, which is nice. And it's just exciting racing against the good guys. It's like you've got nothing to lose. So yeah, you just try and get as many scalps as you can.
You kind of alluded to it just before, but we're mid-October now. What's the plan? Falls in December, and then we'll see you racing at some point early 2026?
I'm doing some road races this year. I'm doing Noosa Bolt in a few weeks. I'm doing a road mile in New Zealand as well in December in Nelson. And then I'm either going to do a Zatopek 10K or the cross-country trial in Canberra, one or the other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which way are you leaning? I suppose it's not up to you.
No, Collis actually said it's up to me, but I want to do Zatopekers in Melbourne, but I think I want to do the trial because I haven't done cross-country in years, and I know I'm going to hate it, but like I want to do it because it's like tough stuff. First
Fernie tomorrow?
Yeah, first run at Fernie. I remember I was down in Melbourne a few years ago and everyone was running at Fernie. I was staying at Tim O'Shaughnessy's house in Brighton or Hampton, and Collis said, don't go to Fernie. And everyone was running there, so I'd just run up the beach by myself. Because I've heard it's quite a hard course for the hour 45 loop, but I'll be able to handle it, no problem. Everyone's acting like it's going to be like ridiculous. It's not going to be that bad. Yeah.
Cool. All right. That's it, Jude. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.